Hi, all right, I'm starting this whole video again. I just did like a half-hour video, but it cut me off like before I could show a lot of this stuff, so I just have to go through it quicker this time. Um, so anyway, so I'm studying this map. This is from the ancient Egyptian Book of Two Ways, 4,000-year-old coffin texts, and so this was. These are two of them here. So the top one here is an earlier iteration, like B3C. I think this is from the coffin of Gua, and forget who he was. I think he was like a high official or something. And then this one is from the coffin of Jehudi Hotep, who was also seemingly a high official and a scribe. But anyway, like it's interesting where they changed everything. Like this one had a bunch of errors on this side based on having copied a 5,000-year-old map. Let's see. Like this, the 5,000-year-old map that it copied, but this map was originally flipped inside out at like a modern Antipodes map. So this part where it has South America curling around to the west had it pointing to the east, and until I flipped it just to show it from a bird's eye view, which people are more used to seeing. But in this case, they didn't realize it was flipped, so they added it to a bird's eye view map, and then they kept South America as pointing to the east here instead of to the west. But then they compensated by bringing Brazil out also to the east, even though Brazil is much further east than Argentina is. And then for some reason, some probably related reason, they also poofed out Honduras, Nicaragua area there. So like this later map, it's I hope you could see that pointer that I had. But anyways, like these three peninsulas are inaccurate. Or I mean, the northern part of Brazil is pretty accurate, but to have it be the skinny peninsula, of course, is inaccurate. And then these two peninsulas are pretty much complete errors. So this one, it may be due to figuring out there's all these errors and not realizing that this map had done a great innovation by adding Florida accurately. I think they just realized that these peninsulas were inaccurate, so they just figured this one probably was too. So they just got rid of all of it and kind of just went back to just only kept like the most basic shapes. But they did make Brazil like kind of closer to its shape in this sense. Like Brazil is just this kind of or kind of northeast. South America is just this kind of bubble sticking out to the northeast there, and then so it's less wildly inaccurate in that sense. But it also seems that in this later version of Jehudi Hotep, in Jehudi Hotep's coffin is wow, that's weird. Oh yeah, I guess because it's over here. So, but it also seems that it may be like some Egyptologists say that this is also like diagram, like plans to build a tomb or a temple or something, which it may well be. Like there certainly are tombs and stuff similarly shaped somewhat, and tombs generally were modeled on the underworld, modeled on America, the land of the afterlife for Afro-Eurasians, just as Afro-Eurasia was the land of the afterlife for Americans. And but it also seems that it may be a diagram for a craft, because it seems like they turned Greenland here into the rudder, and just in general, it looks like could at least very easily be a sailing craft, or even some kind of flying craft that, they say there's some kind of UFOs that like suck air straight through them and go really fast that way. So, it could even be that this lake of fire here represents that. I don't know. But I've managed to identify some of the gatekeepers, which are islands and peninsulas and stuff here, but especially up here, which is like the Afro-Eurasian side of it. Siberia through, goes from Siberia to like Southeast Asia, Singapore, India, and then this is the Mediterranean here, and I guess here, and then this is the British Isles here at the end. And they flip the side ones. They flipped these and that the same way they flipped the America map. And this one went back to the original 5,000-year-old tradition of flipping the America map inside out. So they have the, it's like looking at America from underneath, and you have Alaska is here, Greenland is here, or, I don't know if you can see my pointer, but Alaska's here, Greenland's here, Brazil's here, Chile is down here. So yeah, it's flipped inside out, but so are the adjoining parts of Afro-Eurasia, Kamchatka Peninsula and its nearby Kuril Islands. There are flipped, and so is so are the British Isles, and so are the Pillars of Hercules, Gibraltar, and Elmina here. And think I'm starting to crack some of these. Like, I think actually I'm leaning towards that these two are the Falklands, but I could be wrong, but that's what I'm leaning towards. And then this is like Wellington Island, and then this is Antarctica, and I'm not sure what's all going on down here. So I'm just gonna show some of my new comparisons here before this stupid phone cuts me off. It's like my phone can only record like 25 minutes or 28 minutes, so it cuts off. So this is from that. It's like the map of Southeast Asia, the Malay Peninsula. So this is showing it because the way they depict it, it's like, it's a funny way. It's like to see this, like they tilted it diagonally in order to show the shape of the Gulf of Thailand. So this is not, so to make a comparison really mimicking it, I had to tilt it. So this is not a north, north is not directly up in this. This is tilted, it's tilted like this way. So northwest is up. So that's just in order to show perfectly this comparison. But when you do that, then it becomes more accurate in that sense, but less accurate in the relation of the Malay Peninsula to Vietnam. Here's another one just showing the peninsula itself. And here's Phuket, or I guess Phuket or whatever, Phuket, and just like the way, like, it tends to expand and zoom in on anything that's small but important. So this was important because this is all made for sailors basically. So this was a small but important island and peninsula area. And this, one thing that I recently realized was that, like, I was thinking, based on a lot of modern maps that don't really show a lot of these islands very well, I was thinking that the tip of this is just Singapore, but only using the Google Earth, satellite maps, can you see what it really is, which is the tip of it is this whole island chain. So it's Singapore and the Riau archipelago here, and then the Lingga archipelago right here. So altogether it makes this, altogether these islands make this curved shape here. And so that's important because I was missing the boat on that one. But yeah, so it's interesting, like, to, you got to tilt it to get the correct shape of this. But this is one where north is directly up. So you need this to get, or something like this to get the correct relation of, Vietnam over here to the Malay Peninsula, because Vietnam is well east of the Malay Peninsula, whereas if you tilt it, as in the other one here, it makes it look like Vietnam is actually west. Like, if you mistake this for, or at least you could say it's left of this, whereas, that in this, if you tilt it to make this identical, then it throws off this, because this Vietnam becomes to the left of Singapore, whereas in here it goes well to the right of Singapore. So it's like it's just a weird way that they used to depict both depict it kind of from both angles at the same time. And I guess just hoping that people would figure it out and understand it. What the F? Okay. Anyway, don't think I was supposed to have that. So here's like Phuket Island, and here it is in Malaysia, and it probably was bigger, 4,000 years ago when the sea level was much lower, but they also seem to have just expanded it just to make it more visible in the Egyptian map. And so yeah, that's like well, here's the thing, like, whenever I talk to like modern cucks about Egypt, or a lot of times when I talk to people about Egypt, and they just say, but how could they ever sail to America? How did they do that? That just seems impossible. It's just because they just so casually like think that everybody before Columbus was a monkey basically and couldn't do anything. It's like really pathetic. Like, I don't know. There's nobody stupider than modern people. That's just a fact. But anyway, so here's an Egyptian boat. Like, I've had so many people tell me that Egyptians only had very small boats, so they couldn't sail across the ocean. Yet there's many paintings of them with these huge boats. Like, this is, I think this might be from Hatshepsut's reign. But anyway, you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So that's 25 people on one side of the boat. They're just rowing on one side of the boat, and then there's 25 people on the other side of the boat rowing. And so that's like 50 people. I mean, maybe some of these, maybe this is just the rudder person or something. So maybe it's like 48 people total. But there's probably other crew too. So it's probably a crew of more than 50 people. So all these fucking imbeciles, like, honestly, like, I'm sick of it. Like my landlord, honestly, every time I tell him about this stuff, every time he says, but they didn't have any good boats. And so every time I have to explain to him again that they had enormous boats. And he's like, and then he just, he just goes about forgetting it so he can go on believing that white people invented like everything. So yeah, like here's another one where it expands something that's small but important. So this is like Kamchatka Peninsula. This is the front head of Duck Head is this kind of shape right here. The back two heads are like this island here and this peninsula here, which form, there's like this sea kind of in here, which is somewhat broken up by this island into kind of two seas. And probably this island was bigger 4,000 years ago. Maybe it even touched the peninsula. So it may have fully separated these two seas. And then, but, it expands the Kuril Islands because they're important because that's where you have to go. This is where you want to sail, is right here, probably between Shumshu and Kamchatka. So this is Kamchatka Peninsula. This little white dot in front of the snake's eye is this Shumshu Island. This long stretch behind his eye of the curved part is this long curved Paramushir Island. And then the rest of these white dots are like Onekotan, Karim Kotan, Shiash Kotan, Matua, Rashrua, Katoi, Simushir. So, what else I got to show here? So this is from that Book of Two Ways of Jehudi Hotep, and so it's showing the Tierra del Fuego, and especially the important part, like this part right here, this black line at the top is the southeastern coast of South America. And so this part on its head is kind of the most important part because it seems to be this kind of peninsula right there, which creates the narrowest part of the Strait of Magellan, which was, may still be considered to be the best way to sail from sea to sea, other than through the, Panama Canal. But seems to have already been well known 4,000 years ago or more. And it's not really clear what his, I think maybe this island, this blue one, it might be this leg. And then this little green part, I think, is the skinny part of his front leg. And then the rest of this is probably the wider part of the front leg. And then this is like his face. You know, he looks kind of like a hippo or something, or a aardvark or something. So, you know, he's a classic gatekeeper. Most of the gatekeepers guard straits, like the Strait of Magellan or the Strait of, you know, here's Isla Wellington, Wellington Island, which is in off the Chilean coast. And so, you know, it gets the shape of it roughly correct. It's like kind of flattish on the bottom and then flattish on this side, and then it goes you know, flat on the bottom, flat on this side, goes up, has this kind of curly deal, goes down, and then goes out to the right and then up. So this kind of goes out to the right, then up, and then around. And it has this thin bit, so I think that's this little, the purple bit at the top there. And then it has this shape here on this side, which is like, seems to be this shape. So anyway, that's pretty accurate. And this cute little dude there, little gatekeeper. Hi, guy. There's like a whole spell that you have to say to him to pass. And the spells probably contain information in them, you know, like they probably say a lot about the geography and maybe something about its astronomical coordinates. So, let me see. And then this seems to be Antarctica here, that's on the same map. You know, it's larger than those islands, and this, you know, fits for the Antarctic Peninsula here. And then this shape of the torso here fits for this part here. And he has no head and he has kind of no body, but I'm not really sure what's going on here. And this, I think, seems to be a bunch of guys that are all shaped like the Antarctic Peninsula, like all of their legs are shaped like that. And so what I think these are just that represents the 5 islands around the peninsula. So they kind of belong to the peninsula, so they're shaped like it, but their actual shapes might not have been exactly known or recorded. So, but it, you know, maybe this big one here, this big one here, and maybe this, and a couple more. And so again, like this would be the Alaskan Peninsula. This here would be this kind of bay here. And this part probably represents this bay over here. That's what my guess is. And then this part, not clear what that represents, but something over there. And so yeah, this one really shows this one is best for showing the relationship of Vietnam to the Malay Peninsula, because if you see, like, Vietnam would be out here, Malay Peninsula is here. So even though in other ways it's kind of as if you tilted the whole thing, like the shape of the Gulf of Thailand is as if you tilted this whole thing to the with northwest as up, but for the relation of this to this, it's as if it's just like this, north, with north as up. So it's a funny way they do things sometimes. Kamchatka. And like this thing is lovely blue glazed Mehen board. So Mehen snake game played on a spiral circuit with marbles and pawns in the shape of a lion, faience pottery diameter from the tomb of Set Peribs and Abydos. So a lot of times these boards, the Mehen boards, I think it's called Mehen, that is the game that's often on a straight row. Anyway, basically I think this is the planet, and I think Mehen tends to mean the planet, even though it also means a snake. But it's like the whole planet is like this curled up snake kind of deal. But I think it's Mehen, unless it's another Egyptian game where you go one way and then you go the other way, you like zigzag. So, and some people I think may have used that. Like, it seems like it's potentially a basis for the Book of Two Ways, like how to read the Book of Two Ways, because wow, this like basically what I think is how you read it is, well, potentially like you can start here in the British Isles, go along, go to the Pillars of Hercules and go here. Well, there's, I guess, a detour, but then you can go around Asia and all the way to Siberia here. Anyway, I don't know if you can see my pointer, but basically you go this way, and then you can go straight from there to Alaska here, which is nearby, and then you go this way, and then you reach to here. Maybe you go further, but at least you reach to here, and then you go this way. So it may be that it was meant to be read that way, but at least it seems to be set up for that direction of navigation, based on which peninsulas and islands it identifies as barriers. It pretty much assumes that direction of travel. So yeah, I think that may have been that Mehen game helped to train people in this. But I'm pretty sure it's the Mehen game that I've always seen as on a long board, but that this might be the first one I've seen on a round one, unless I'm confusing it with another game. Yeah, I don't know. But either way, I'm pretty sure Mehen represents the Earth, and so this game would be a way for the pharaoh to kind of like symbolically move around the whole planet. Alrighty, I guess that's about it. Is there anything else here? And alright, so that's it, and Yeah. Have a good one. Thank you very much. Bye.